Okay, you guys are quite lucky. I went through chapters 1 through 14 again, and I realized in order to do chapter 14 and find one of my favorite quotes, I actually have to do chapter 13 to explain some of the background. So we're gonna do a little time skip. At the beginning, it was about the college examination, a little bit about his family background, a little about his classroom situation, and he's starting to assemble the group. His previous wife, one an interesting classmate that he's acquainted with currently, and he's just trying to get back into the flow of things. And he's got 3 months to make $3.7 million. The economic chapters will start to get into around chapter 50, where he starts to really start his tycoon urban business making stuff. But for now, we're just going to do more character backgrounds. Now, I know a lot of people who've read this get a little bit annoyed at some of the drama and romance aspect, but I think the romance and drama at the beginning really start to come into its own and develop its flavor because there's plenty of time to go into the science fiction aspect, the fantasy aspect, the speculation aspect. Um, but I think making sure that the characters are the reader is sufficiently invested in the characters is a really big part in what makes this web novel great. Give me one quick sec. I'm just going to do a couple things and I'll be back in like 10 seconds. Okay, so I made it decide to put a cut in there, but sorry, I was a little bit parched, and I just wanted to make sure my voice was okay. Okay, so let's start. I'm gonna quickly just check the Chinese. Yeah, okay, so it looks about correct. So chapter 13 is really what's gonna lead into chapter 14. Chapter 13, the curious cat and the enraged deer. And you'll see what the significance of that title means. So currently they're at a party, one of those CCTV karaoke things in China. It's just a classmate party. I'm surprised they're doing this in high school, but if they're graduating, they're graduating. Lu Yuan spontaneously meets Sume. Of course, just as Lu Yuan thought, turning over the other side of the lottery. So this is one of the party games. Find the best-looking stranger present to strike up a conversation and ask for the name and contact information, or their name and contact information. As for the target, there's no need to find it at all. Everyone, including Zhao Junli, has helped him lock his only goal. So Zhao Junli is one of his classmates and currently a wingman assisting him right now. He has his own background later on, but I don't want to spoil too much. Not to mention that the second brush will have a difficulty bonus. Seeing that Lu Yan hasn't shown his wooden sign, that's what ebony is, to everyone, Zhao Junli couldn't help but stretch out his hand to grab the wooden sign. After reading the first word on the front, he looked at Lu Yuan sadly and patted him on the shoulder. Sorrow and change. But you can probably tell us about your first love. I think this is a truth or dare game. I'm still quite. Oh no no no. Yeah. I don't remember the context, but I'm pretty sure it's something to do with that. I'm still quite curious. The object of your first love or crush. Anything else is fine, but this one cannot. He can't explain this. Lu Yuan shook his head and smiled bitterly, said in his heart, if he tells everyone now that his first love, including his secret crush is the opposite Sume, who he doesn't know yet, it would not be a good story. It would be a horrible story. On such occasions like this, casually telling a lie seems very insincere. After all, especially Zhao Junli is a classmate of his junior high and high school. They're not very well familiar, but they're in like the acquaintances period. They're classmates in for some Western readers, Chinese classmates are much more closer than Western classmates due to the class structure. You're generally stuck with this class for maybe up to like 4 to 6 years. You attend the same class with the same teachers. You get really well acquainted with each class. There's classroom rivalry. It has a lot to do with the history of communism, whereas in the Western schools, a lot of the classes get shifted around, right? Students pick their classes instead of being stuck with the same classmates. But it really creates a lot of social bonds that you just don't get in the Western education system. A lot of the Eastern education system, you just get a lot more camaraderie. So that's why in a lot of Japanese anime, you'll see all these classrooms full of students knowing each other really well. That's why it's hard to be a new student in Asian education systems. So the object of his human so back to the sentence. Zhao Junli is a classmate of his junior high and high school, and the object of his current embarrassment must also know the other party, which is even more difficult. Sume is indeed the first person Lu Yuan liked, even before Lu Yuan really knew Sume. When Lu Yuan first met Sume, he only watched her live commentary of her witty and emotional games, right? Because she's an upstreamer. She's a streamer. She's a gamer girl. In those games, Sume and the plot characters share joy and sorrow, giving people a great sense of substitution. Substitution as in, being the main character, as most readers are. Sume is good at automatopoeia and is able to dub different characters close to perfection. So I'm thinking, doing voices and accents. She's really good at, she masters several foreign languages and has a reputation as a variety of voice actors. Amateur voice actor, I'd assume. But, if it's a novel like this, authors tend to blow. So at the time, Lu Yuan has no idea in the game world. I don't know what this name is, and I don't think I'm going to get to translate it. Yi Shi, it's the same Yi and Yi, was so energetic that she could be called a goddess. In reality, she turned out to be such a dull gourd, even though she was actually so good looking. Oh, so she just doesn't. She hides her personality well, not that she's a boring person. Yeah, I don't. So MTL and the Tao of Google Translate doesn't always make sense. So leave it alone. But yeah, some of these sentences aren't gonna make sense. So you're gonna have to go and die again? Zhao Junli had a sad expression. After all, he hadn't won it with his strength. It would obviously increase the difficulty to complete the second week. Probably has to do with studying. It's very miserable to be accosted twice for the same reason, probably school-related or study-related matters. This is Zhao Junli's own experience. Or you could change the house for a different aesthetic reason. After all, I think there are a lot of cute girls here. They don't need to hang themselves on this crooked neck tree. Zhao Junli actively made ideas for Lu Yuan, trying to give him some different pursuits. And Lu Yuan shook his head, no need. So he said, oh, okay, so he's accosted for the wooden sign, because it's a truth or dare game. If you lose, there's a punishment or a penalty. Saying this, Lu Yuan stretched out his hand at Zhao Junli. Let's borrow a pen and paper. Zhao Junli was stunned at the moment. Don't you have it too? Don't you feel that your pen is more showy? Lu Yuan smiled, and was already sitting on the table waiting for the pen. Zhao Junli thought about it, took out his rainbow pen, and handed it to Lu Yuan. Some people would call this brotherhood. Lu Yuan held it by the hand, staying on the upper edge. After writing a line with the same brush on the paper, he folded the paper to prevent anyone from seeing the content. This is your secret weapon? Zhao Junli couldn't help asking as he watched Lu Yuan hand back the pen to himself. Lu Yuan lifted the blank paper and said with a smile, "Forget it." When Lu Yuan walked to the table of I don't know the Chinese, but we'll just go Seng Xing and Su Mei. Su Mei didn't say anything. Seng Xing had already narrowed her eyes. Why are you again? They've met before. That boy just now is your classmate? Lu Yuan nodded and then said, "The boy has already said that I just came here. Can you give me a face? 你可以给我面子吗？可以给我脸？ can you give me some not respect, but can you like give me some can you what's the best way to describe face or 面子? Can you just can you not make me look bad or make me look ugly, right? Just So Zhao Junli already tried to ask for Sumei's phone number. And Sung Xing is a Sumei's, I think, friend. Why? Sung Xing touched her nose. Now that the boy finally asks for herself, she can finally let out a sigh of anger. Look, you didn't look good at. Did you not carefully look at Zhao Junli's example just now? You still won't get anything. Go home. Uh, uh, yeah, I don't know. A lot of this Tao of Google Translate. You still won't lose a smile at home. You don't have money. Why are you talking to us? So they're talking about reputation because China's very face-saving society. Just because you will be the city's champion in the future because you got high scores on the college's entrance examination. Sung Xing teased, but the time I will invite you to eat here again. Don't worry. I'm not going to explain some of the relationships between Sung Xing and Lu Yue, but just know it's an interesting one. I'm not accosting you, Lu Yue smiled. I just accosted her, so I'm asking Sumei out. I actually, you know what? I'll explain the relationship. Sung Xing is one of the invigilators or teachers of Lu Yue, one of the classroom teachers, and Sumei is I think her nephew or niece. Sorry, so they are related, and that's why Sung Xing knows Lu Yue that well. Lu Yuan looked at Sumei, who still didn't raise her head to look at him. Others saw her as cold, but only Lu Yuan knew that Sumei was embarrassed and shy right now. Sung Xing raised a pretty Liu Mei. You have offended me a lot. Lu Yuan nodded, admitting that he was offending Sung Xing for the time being. Then pressed a folded piece of the paper on the table and looked at Sumei, who was intently looking at the phone screen. Classmate, can you make a bet? I'm so excited right now. Sumei did not speak, but Lu Yuan's words continued. I have a secret about you written on this piece of paper. Do you believe? This has to do with the famous Chinese saying, going, once a girl is interested in you, it's hard for for you to leave their mind or something like that. I don't know where that saying comes from. It might be true, it might not be. I've eaten a lot of dog food, by the way, metaphorically. Sung Xing curled his lips. Is it such a horrible means of chatting up? I have seen a lot with my experience. A lot of my old ladies, how the Tao of Google Translate says. If I didn't guess wrong, this piece of paper should be the name and contact address of my little eyebrow, basically, demeaning Lu Yue. After checking in advance, you've come to touch the porcelain, right? You've come to try and, you know, I think the porcelain has something to do with the emperor. So touch the porcelain means to hand it off, and to put your own name there, to add your name onto the list of credits. You're still a little. I'm still a little bit tenderer than your kid and my old lady, right? So you're still young in my eyes. So Mr. Sung, you start to be claiming to be your old mother in your early 20s. Are you getting older? Lu Ye jibes back with. So you're calling yourself old. And if you're calling yourself old now, what are you going to call yourself in the future? Lu Yan continues to smile. He couldn't laugh out of Zhao Junli's feeling that just a face can make people feel like a spring breeze. So Zhao Junli is one of those handsome richness. He's rich, he's handsome, and because of his social etiquette and his social standing, he knows how to make people feel comfortable. But he got refused. But even if Lu Yan doesn't have that skill because he comes from a different family background, he's still plain and simple, right? He's very direct, very formal, and at least it won't make people feel disgusted, as some people might towards Zhao Junli, even though he seems like a nice guy. Sorry, but it's not like that. Sorry, no. Sung Xing reached out her hand and grabbed the piece of paper. Then let me check the little eyebrows first. Let me check this note. Lu Yan couldn't stop him, and he only looked towards Sumei. If you let your cousin open it, you will regret it. And before she finished her words, Sumei suddenly stretched out her hand and pressed on Qian Qian Su's hand that Sung Xing was about to lift. The girl blinked her pure black eyes with a deep face reflected in her eyes. Let me take a look first. Sung Xing glanced back at Lu Yue in surprise, meaning that your kid is really capable. Man, you got her interest. On the other hand, Sumei has already held the piece of paper in her hand and opened it a little bit. Lu Yue watched Sumei's movements calmly, seemingly stable like an older dog, having to do with a person with a lot of experience in love. But in fact, he was panicked. He was able to get this point smoothly in front of the dear Sumei, Of course, because Sume was his lover in his previous life. Almost the person who knew each other the most in the world. Like a soulmate. Significant other. Of course, since it is 4 years ago when Lu Yuan really knew Sume, what um what is what is the 18-year-old Sume? Lu Yuan actually couldn't make a ticket. He doesn't know much about her at this time. But there is still a little Lu Yuan who firmly believes that Sume will never change. That is, Sume is really a very curious girl. As long as you can successfully arouse her curiosity, you can almost catch her firmly. As the saying goes, curiosity kills the cat. Then Sume may be the most curious cat in the world. And right now, Lu Yue successfully raised Sume's curiosity. And Xiao Sume opened the note and saw the first line of the note. Lu Yue clearly saw the opponent's eyebrows suddenly raised in shock. An ominous premonition immediately appeared in Lu Yuan's heart. After all, he and Sume know each other for so long, knowing that Sume's eyebrow were not a gesture of complacency, but that she was really angry. Sure enough, Sume immediately pushed the chair behind her to stand up, making a noisy sound. And the little Sume already had held the piece of paper in her palm, walked out of the scene, and slightly raised her head to look up at Lu Yue. The cute and small girl now exudes an aura as if a small universe is burning. Oh man. Lu Yuan thought that he might still be able to rescue himself, but he didn't expect that Sume had lowered her head and slammed into his chest severely. At this moment, when Sume was knocked over to the ground, Lu Yuan only had one thought in his heart. It is very appropriate to say that Sume was a deer. Oh man. Oh man, the Internet Water Army is hilarious as well. What an awesome ending. And so a lot of people a lot of the Internet Water Army commenters are saying, there's a mole on your butt. Obviously the troll answer. What else are internet commenters called? They're called internet scholars, Liu Shuijing, so Internet Water Army, Black Water Army, Hei Shuijing, right? So the people who pour black water on stuff, internet reviewers, netizens, right? The netizens are so cute. Leaks, to Cong, fans are called 粉丝, rice noodles, or just noodle heads. Generally it's rice noodles or just noodles in general. Stands in English, fans. I think everyone knows the drill. But yeah, 17 minutes. I'm gonna try and keep it at that level. Not too much analysis. Some of my analysis videos go like 20.